Celestial Signs. My name is Daniel Vallis from InformedChristians.com, a website ministry devoted to discerning current events from a Christian and biblical perspective. This is a warning of what's going on right now, but it is not a prediction. I do not know the future. If you have not yet, please download our Exodus 2, The Bride Goes to the King's House PDF, which has a lot of detail of why we've been looking, especially at this time and really over the last year. The link is in the description box. And we have a new handout that we added yesterday that goes with your binder if you've printed out the booklet as well. And we've talked about so much in the past, and if you're new to all this, just please look through some of the recent videos to get caught up of what we've been looking at, but definitely look at the resource booklet that will answer a lot of questions. But so much going on right now, and our attention had been pointed at Purim, and what we're seeing now is really just a continuation of the celestial events at Purim. It's all connected because even the same celestial signs that we saw at Purim are now acting as bookends, both at the first instance of Esther, the commemorative fast, but then also it's going to be at the true fast of Esther in just a few days as well. It's hemming in, and we see the celestial signs pointing both at the types of Esther and the picture of Esther, which we covered in depth, but also this time frame with Jupiter and Leo the lion, picture of Shiloh the Messiah coming to gather his people. The enemy knows something is very important about this time, and they are pointing to the exact same time frame as well. And Satan's been getting his disciples ready. Are we getting ready as well? And this encapsulates the idea of watching. It's not looking for just one single day or just one single significant sign or even a short series of signs. It is watching and seeing a progression and a pattern and types and a lot pulled together. There's a lot of pictures that we're seeing come together right now. And someone pointed out this month of March, this is typically Israel's latter rain period. And that's just another type that comes into play right now. There's so many types and patterns. Beyond just the celestial signs, we see a beautiful painting of types and patterns and shadows being painted during this entire window. And if we're not watching, we will miss so many of the calls that Christ is trying to tell us. He that hath an ear, he will hear what the Spirit saith to the churches. And that's why we need to watch, because we want to hear what Christ is trying to tell us. So we see signs in the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets. We see so many signs going on right now. If this has not caught your attention, then nothing will. This should excite us to action and to rise up and to get busy for God and to draw close to God, because time is very short. When we look at the celestial clock, and I keep telling people that the celestial movements are a celestial clock. Genesis 1, the very first book, the very first chapter tells us the stars, the sun, the moon, all that's for determining time and knowing the seasons. And it's also talking about the idea of the feasts as well. And again, Satan has his perverted version of it called astrology, but that's completely different from astronomy. We're looking at the celestial signs in the heavens, the sun, the moon, the stars, and looking at the picture that Christ is painting for us. And when we look at the celestial clock, we could see so many signs that are actually visible. That is what is so amazing. Anybody all over the world can go outside, look at these signs, and see something is unique about them. Signs are meant to be seen. Now, I was thinking about it just the other day. The Revelation 12 sign is technically a sign because it's a celestial marker, but you really can't see it because it's going to happen during the day. So it's a sign. It marks when certain things will happen, but it's not a true sign. The world can't see it. And unless you know it's coming, most people wouldn't even know that it's there. But the events that we've been seeing these past few days and weeks and even months are all signs that anybody can see, and our attention can be drawn to them and say, something is different about these signs and something is different about the time. And that should encourage us to do further study. The world's attention was especially drawn to the celestial signs back when Venus became the morning star. And that was really just a day or two before the 5 visible planets started coming out. And they were seen for an entire month. And even the news outlets of the world were talking about the celestial sign, how unique it was, and how everyone should go out and see it. Hello, it's a celestial sign, a sign in the heavens. Why aren't pastors and churches and other watchmen talking about this? This is a sign in the heavens, a very unique one. In conjunction with Venus becoming the morning star, which is a picture of the bridegroom. We talked about that before. This period kicked off a continuous wave of celestial signs, and we've seen some very significant signs continually since this point. And that needs to catch our attention and wake us up, stir us to action. When we look especially at what the names mean of these planets and why they were shining in our skies for a month, There's a message there, especially with the comet Catalina appearing at the exact same time that Venus came onto the scene. God is trying to catch our attention with the celestial signs that we need to purify ourselves. The bridegroom is coming. War is coming, sudden destruction that we've talked about before. That's coming too as well. There's going to be a harvest of the barley, which happens at this time of year too as well. We've talked about that. And Mercury, the messenger, warning about the boundaries, the restraints will soon be removed. God is calling our attention to this time, and if you're not paying attention, and if this is not causing you to change your life and what you're doing and draw close to God, then I hate to say it, but you are foolish. You might as well go to the grocery store and load up your buggy with boxes of Kleenex because you're going to need it. Christ told the Laodicean church quite clearly that he was disgusted with their lukewarmness and that he was going to remove them. They were going to be grounded. There's no rewards for being lukewarm. Christ wants to see who is wise, who will rise up, trim their lamps, and go out to meet him. And then we talked about how the Star of Bethlehem signs pointed exactly at the fast of Esther, the commemorative one, which was right at the time of the significant celestial signs with Jupiter and the moon and the full moon and Leo the lion. All that picked up right exactly when the 5 visible planets stopped. That should catch our attention too. We've been drawn to Purim. We were pointed toward Purim. But things did not stop at Purim. In fact, they just got taken to a whole new level at Purim. And now we see this time period from the one fast of Esther to the next fast of Esther. Both form bookends to this time that we need to pay attention to, especially with the solar eclipse and Jupiter right next to the paw of Leo the lion. The bridegroom is coming. The king is coming. Time is very short. We find ourselves running out of time, and we must prepare ourselves. We must purify our life. Of the 5 visible planets, that formation, we talked about how when Venus became the morning star, it was going to stay the morning star until about June is when it's going to start fading off the scene. But Mercury is just now fading off the scene too as well. These critical celestial signs, in context of all the other celestial signs that we're seeing going on right now, the pattern that's being painted during this time, when we see certain ones disappearing off the scene, we definitely need to pay attention. Mercury is the messenger. Who is listening to the bridegroom? Who is hearing what the Spirit saith to the churches? Who is getting ready? Who hears him knocking at the door? Who hears the trumpet call that the bridegroom is right over the hill? Who hears the midnight cry? When we look at the morning sky duration chart that we've looked at before, we find that this time period where we are right now, Venus and Mercury are quickly fading off the scene. We talked about when Venus became the morning star back in January, and that started off the whole bevy of celestial signs. We are right here, which means Mercury is pretty much gone right now, and technically is going to be above the horizon just a few more days, right before the sunrise, and Venus is still fading off the scene too as well. But this Saturday marks Christ's triumphal entry into Jerusalem, which was the fulfillment of his first coming. That is commemorated this weekend. And then just a few hours after that is the Jupiter and the moon celestial bookend ending out the sign. And then just a few hours after that is the fast of Esther and then Passover. The messenger has been calling our attention to this time period. The bridegroom is almost here. So we find ourselves running out of time and we must make ourselves ready. The evening is past. The day is at hand. On our website, we also have this new handout that you can print off and put in your binder too as well if you want it for reference. Link in the description box. This time is very important and our attention is drawn to it. And the warnings have gone out for months and weeks and days, with each sign getting more and more intense. Hebrews 10:24. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. Friends, the day is here. We must provoke each other into love and to good works. Notice neither of these is head knowledge. I'm not doing this to satisfy your morbid curiosity. Christ wants us to do love and to good works, to do things that will count for eternity. If all you are satisfied with is having a knowledge of this and it's not changing your life and the way you live and what you invest your time, your money, your energy, your strength, your attention, your love, all of that, if that's not changing what you do with that at this time and calling you to be temperate and moderate in those things and set some things aside so that you can draw closer to God, if this is not changing you, then you're going to be in greater judgment. Because that is the definition of a hypocrite. And Christ told his disciples that the hypocrites will be left behind with the unbelievers. The day is at hand. It's here now. What are you doing? Romans 13:11. That knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent. The day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Are you doing what the Bible tells you to do? Are you casting things off right now? Are you trimming things off right now? Are you putting on the armor of light, drawing closer to God, spending time in His Word, spending time in prayer, doing things that count for eternity, provoking each other to love and to good works? Are you doing any of this stuff that Christ calls us to do when He comes? Friend, I want to provoke you to do things that count for eternity so that you can cross the finish line victorious. And so that you can cross the finish line to the smile on Christ's face. That is why I do this. I can only point you to Christ. Follow Him. Draw close to Him. Reflect Him. Shine like Him. The night is far spent. The day is at hand. It is here now. Are you ready? Maranatha.